Welcome to HFY Stories. Please subscribe to the channel. Your one click means the world to me. The center of the blast door glowed orange, then white. A cutting tool hissed through the lock, while the lights on the trapped side blinked out one strip at a time. Whoever was coming through had weapons. The people sealed inside had none. Something heavy scraped across the floor. Metal groaned under a tightening grip. Hours earlier, Corporal Simon Cross had been standing where the Irians wanted humans, near the edge, armed, useful, and easy to ignore. Humanity had reached the stars only recently. The old powers of the Orion Spur did not consider Terrans impressive. Humans had no psychic gifts, no elegant energy organs, no centuries of life. What they did have was dense muscle, stubborn bones, and a willingness to take jobs the elder species considered beneath them. That was why Constellation Security Solutions had won a minor contract at the Pan-Galactic Summit on Aegis Prime. Human contractors filled gaps between the sovereign protectors, while Matriarch Vesha prepared to sign the Centaurus Accords. Captain James Ford spoke through Simon's earpiece. "Stay in your lane. We are guests, not partners." Simon kept his eyes moving. The atrium was almost too beautiful to trust. Crystal-grown columns gave off a pale inner glow. Delegates drifted beneath the high ceiling in robes that shifted color as they walked. Vesha stood at the center of it all, pearl-skinned and composed, surrounded by guards in ceremonial armor. Then Simon noticed a vent above the northern mezzanine, frosting at the edges. "Captain, I have a temperature drop above Sector 4. Ford hesitated. "Irian security shows nothing." "That is the problem. Their system is watching for energy and psychic intent. Do not break formation over a hunch." Simon looked again. The frost had spread another handspan. A faint distortion moved behind it, bending the atrium lights. Something solid pushed through the shimmer. A barrel. Simon ran. A sovereign protector turned on him, energy pike rising. Vesha looked over, startled by the human charging straight toward the sacred platform. "Down!" Simon shouted. He did not wait for anyone to obey. He launched himself across the podium. The shot struck him in midair. His armor burst apart across one side, and the force hurled him through the crystal lectern. Vesha stumbled as fragments skittered across the dais. By the time Simon hit the floor, Constellation rifles were already hammering the mezzanine. Ford's voice filled the comm channel. "Shooter contained. Medic team forward." Then the blue shield came down. The Irian protectors had sealed the dais automatically. Vesha, her guards, and Simon were locked inside. Human medics reached the barrier seconds later and stopped dead. Simon tried to breathe. His suit flashed warnings across his visor. Every breath came shorter than the last. Vesha knelt beside him. He managed to focus on her face. "Guess I earned the day rate." Her expression changed. For the first time, she looked at him as a person rather than part of the furniture. Commander Talon stepped closer. "Matriarch, withdraw from him. The barrier will hold until the threat is cleared." He will not survive that long. He fulfilled his assigned function. Outside the shield, Ford struck the barrier with both palms. "Open it. Our medic can stabilize him." Talon ignored him. Vesha looked from Simon to the humans outside. Their fear and fury pressed against her psychic senses in a way Irian emotions never did. No contract forced Simon to leap. No psychic bond had compelled him. He had seen danger and placed his body between it and hers. "Talon," she said, "lower the shield. We cannot verify a clean perimeter." "Then let their medic inside. His injuries are beyond human medicine." Simon's monitor shifted to a single continuous tone. Vesha went still. Talon lowered his voice. "The debt ends with him. Do not make this larger than it is." That decided her. Vesha drew the small ceremonial blade, hidden in her robes. Talon recoiled. You cannot mean to use royal blood on him. I mean to prevent my rescuer from dying at my feet. The law reserves that right for the bloodline. Then the law will have to survive being offended. She cut her palm and pressed it to Simon's damaged armor where his suit had torn open. Blue light spilled between her fingers. Royal Irian blood carried regenerative cells no common medicine could imitate. The right was meant for heirs and bonded members of the ruling line because it did more than heal. Once accepted by another body, it created a permanent genetic and psychic link to the donor. Using it on a human had never been contemplated by the law. The reaction was immediate. Simon's body jerked once as his suit alarms broke into frantic pulses. Vesha felt the bond seize her mind with enough force to steal her breath. For one staggering instant, she experienced Simon. Cold Martian dust, training yard exhaustion, the memory of squadmates laughing in a metal barracks, fear, loyalty, pain, and a refusal to stop simply because stopping would be easier. His heartbeat returned. Simon dragged in a full breath. When his eyes opened, a thin blue ring glowed around each hazel iris. Vesha nearly collapsed beside him. Simon looked down at the sealed wound and then at her bloodied hand. What exactly did you put in me? Vesha answered quietly. Something my people will spend a very long time arguing about. Talon stared at Simon as though the floor had broken open. Vesha rose, using the damaged podium for balance. Hear me clearly, Commander. He carries the royal line now. Whatever title the council chooses to dispute, the blood will not. Outside the barrier, Ford stopped pounding. No one in the atrium spoke. Hours later, Simon woke in a secured medical bay with every sound sharpened beyond comfort. He could hear machinery through the wall. He could feel a second presence brushing the edge of his thoughts. When Vesha entered with Talon, Simon sat up at once. Please tell me the voice in my head is temporary. Unlikely, Vesha said. Manageable, perhaps. Talon's disgust was immediate. You should be grateful you are breathing. Simon stood. I was grateful before you said that. Vesha sent Talon outside and waited until the door closed. Simon touched the blue scar across his chest. Now explain the part everyone is avoiding. Vesha moved to the window, overlooking Aegis Prime. Your company has been paid, and your squad has been moved off-world for their protection, she said. Simon frowned. You decided all of that while I was unconscious. I decided you needed to wake before someone else decided you should not. Then her voice lowered. The assassin was not Drevian. Simon's posture changed. He had access to internal security weaknesses, she continued. High Minister Caldwell opposes the peace accords. He believes the sovereignty should close itself, purge outside influence, and destroy humanity before your species becomes stronger. So the shot was meant to remove you and blame the enemy. Yes. And binding me to the throne puts humanity directly inside the argument. Vesha met his eyes. It also makes your survival my political answer. Before Simon could respond, the lights flickered. A thin metallic whine came through the blast door. Simon's face hardened. Someone is cutting the lock. Vesha reached for the security network and flinched. Psychic dampeners. This section has been isolated. Simon glanced around the sterile bay. No weapons. He gripped the base of the largest medical console. Vesha stared. That unit is fixed to the floor. Not anymore. Metal screamed. Bolts tore free. Simon lifted the console and turned toward the door just as its center glowed orange. The door burst inward. Commander Talon stood beyond it with armed sovereign protectors. His expression carried no shame now. Matriarch Caldwell has declared the bloodline compromised. I am ordered to secure the succession. Vesha stepped forward. You are helping a minister murder his sovereign. I am saving the sovereignty from contamination. He raised his weapon. Simon charged. The console took the first volley and drove into the front rank like a moving wall. Energy shields flashed and failed under the impact. The corridor dissolved into shouting, sparks, and bodies scrambling for footing. Simon fought at close range, using speed the Irians did not expect and strength their training had never prepared them to face. Weapons clattered away. Guards struck the floor. Vesha recovered her psychic reach as the damaged dampener system flickered. A wave of telekinetic force swept the last attackers backward. Talon remained standing. He aimed past Simon, directly at Vesha. Simon was too far away to intercept the shot. He reached for the strange connection inside his mind and pulled with everything he had. A blue barrier snapped into existence in front of Vesha. Talon fired. The blast struck the shield and scattered harmlessly across the corridor walls. For the first time, Talon looked afraid. Simon walked toward him. Talon's weapon slipped from his hand. You called humans primitive, Simon said. You should have paid more attention to what primitives survive. One punch ended the fight. The alarms continued, but the corridor itself became still. Vesha approached Simon slowly. Her hand hovered near the glowing scar without touching it. You used a royal defensive construct, she said. I used whatever stopped the shot. A tired smile reached her face. That answer may terrify the council more than the ability. Simon looked down the ruined corridor, and Caldwell. Finished. He needed secrecy. He now has witnesses, traitors in custody, and a human prince who can stand before the council alive. Simon exhaled. Prince still sounds expensive. It is. Good, then I'm renegotiating my contract. The next summit met under repaired crystal and new security protocols. The Centaurus Accords remained on the table. Caldwell's faction had collapsed before sunrise. This time, human guards were not posted against the outer walls. Captain Ford's replacements stood inside the central security ring beside the sovereign protectors, wearing plain carbon weave among robes worth kingdoms. Simon stood at Vesha's right. When the doors opened for the first delegation, an Irian officer automatically pointed a newly arrived human guard toward the perimeter. Vesha raised one finger. The officer stopped. Simon tapped the empty place beside him. The human crossed the marble floor and took his position at the center.